Greetings. My name is Michael Krawitz. This is my video testimony for the 122nd session of the International Narcotics Control Board meeting of 7 May 2018 on the cannabis medicinal and non-medicinal issues. I represent Veterans for Medical Cannabis Access. We are a voluntary association connected to patients, advocates, physicians, scientists, industry, and government. And as such, we are an objective source of information on the current status of cannabis medicinal access in the USA. Greetings, President Sumyai and the International Narcotics Control Board. Greetings to Vienna NGO Committee, New York NGO Committee, and the UN Office on Drugs and Crime. I am a grassroots cannabis activist who worked my way up to the leadership in the United States, as well as being an international cannabis activist and somewhat of a cannabis ambassador. So I'll wear two hats today. First, I'll talk with my medicinal cannabis access hat on. First, I want to say that the predecessor to the organization that I run now, Veterans for Compassion, we had an informational table back in 1998 at the United Nations Drug Summit, and that info table was basically just had one message, and that was that the right to access medicine is a basic human right. Our table was dedicated to the notion that really the International Declaration of Human Rights should say the right to access medical care and associated medicine. We used and drew upon the 1995 report of the International Narcotics Control Board on the availability of opiates for medical needs. It was our touchstone and the biggest source of information, other than the treaty itself, for our information at our table. And we've followed very closely the INCB's reports over the years and very much appreciate the efforts that you've made to improve medicinal access and to encourage governments to improve medicinal access to necessary medicines throughout the world. And we thank you for that. We also, speaking with the cannabis movement hat on just for a moment, really felt kind of a back and forth with the INCB, because many times the policies that you are complaining about in your reports are policies that we've initiated in our reforms throughout the United States and throughout the world. I hope to explain at least one of them today. We passed medical marijuana in 1996 after quite a bit of effort. 1960s, we already had quite a bit of information in hand where our top doctors, Dr. Mikaria, Dr. Andy Weil, Dr. Grinspoon, they had published studies, and we had a 100-year review that Dr. Mikaria handed us from the 1860s all the way to the 1960s of all the medicinal cannabis research that had been done. That was our starting point, was 100 years of research. Since then, we've added to that very substantially. And I think that the studies that you're looking at, the studies that our National Institutes of Drug Abuse and others have pointed out to you, are just a small subset of the larger picture. We're looking at trials of cannabis medicines throughout the world. We're looking at use by hundreds of thousands, even millions of patients throughout the United States and throughout the world over decades. And this is a lot of information. And we encourage you to dig in and understand some of this information. We passed these policies because the DEA refused to allow us to go through proper channels. We tried, and we tried. We won in court. The DEA wouldn't allow us to move forward. The DEA has maintained that because of the treaty, we cannot have anything but Schedule 1 or Schedule 2. And because of the treaty, they have to maintain a supply monopoly. And because of the treaty, it's been almost impossible to give them the type of gold standard studies that they require to actually get out of that infinite loop that they've got us caught in. And I want you to understand that medical cannabis access in the United States and around the states and around the countries around the world is not done carelessly. The doctors, physicians are monitoring this, and every single time a patient is using medicinal cannabis properly in one of these state programs, they're using it under doctor's supervision. These are not careless programs, and the results have been phenomenal. We have post-traumatic stress sufferers who have been pilled out. Only a couple of medications that are approved for post-traumatic stress, but they usually come out of the VA with bags full of pills. And cannabis helps them reduce the number of pills, reduce the number of pills they're using for pain, reduce the number of pills they're using for post-traumatic stress. And that's where we're seeing marked reduction in suicide, marked reduction in overdose. And these are quantifiable results that we encourage you to look at. Our membership looks at the U.S. patent on the cannabinoids and is frustrated. They look at the fact that the United Nations drug control treaties are outdated, that there's never been a formal review. We thank the INCB for encouraging the World Health Organization to do a review of cannabis, and we ask you to support this effort, support what the World Health Organization is going to do, and if they don't do enough, push forward and keep pushing until you update the treaty, make it fit to task, make it so it maintains access to these medicines, including cannabis. Cannabis should be listed properly based on the science that we have today, and we encourage you to join us in this and help ease some of this debate, really, frankly, by working through the system and updating the system and making it fit to task for the 21st century, and making sure that the next time I come here, I'm thanking you for working on cannabis access and making sure that we have cannabis right there next to the other tools that we have in our toolkit. I thank you for your attention today, and I encourage you to reach out to me if there's anything that I can help with, our organization can help with, and the cannabis movement is reaching out to you today and appreciates your work. Thank you so much.